Hey, welcome. So most of us have heard of mindfulness, right? It's been this amazing tool for dealing with, well, life. But what if I told you there's another step? A single question that can open up a whole new level of calm and clarity.
So get this. This quote is from a psychologist, Aziz Shaheen. She spent 15 years, a decade and a half, teaching mindfulness. And then one simple question came along and flipped her entire understanding of it on its head. Kind of makes you curious, right?
And here it is. This is the question. Not what are you aware of, like your thoughts or the sounds in the room, but what is it that is aware? Just let that sink in for a second before we move on. What is it?
So you might be wondering, okay, how is that so different from regular mindfulness? Well, let's break down exactly how this question takes us into totally new territory.
You know the drill with mindfulness, right? For those 15 years, Aziz's work was all about, okay, bring your attention to your breath. Feel the sensations in your feet. And don't get me wrong, that stuff is incredibly powerful for hitting the brakes when you're feeling stressed out. Right, so traditional mindfulness is all about watching the contents of your mind. Think of your thoughts, your feelings, all that stuff as a movie playing. But this new question, it shifts our attention from the movie itself to the screen it's playing on. What is that silent, empty space in the background that's aware of the whole show?
And that simple little shift, well, it leads to a really profound idea. An idea that's been at the heart of wisdom traditions for thousands of years. It's this concept called non-duality. Now, non-duality isn't some New Age fad. It's the core idea in things like Tasawwuf, in Sufism, where they call it Vahdat, and in Advaita Vedanta from India. All it really suggests is that this feeling we have of being a separate me, stuck inside a body, might just be an illusion.
And this really shows the difference in how it feels to live. That dualistic view on the left, that's our default setting. It's me versus the world, which is why we're always feeling like we have to fight and control everything. But the non-dual view on the right, it says you and the world aren't separate. You're just part of one big seamless flow.
This really gets to the core of it. You know that little narrator in your head, the voice that's always commenting on everything? This perspective says that's just a useful story your brain made up to help you get around. It's not who you really are. There's no little CEO in your head calling all the shots.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds a little abstract, right? A bit out there. So let's use a couple of really cool metaphors to make it feel a little more real.
I want you to think about the last dream you can remember. Inside that dream, you were a whole person, weren't you? You had problems, you had people you were talking to. The whole thing felt completely and totally real.
And then you wake up, and in that instant, you realize the big secret. The scary monster, your best friend, the city you were in, and even the you in the dream. It was all just one thing. It was all your mind. So, here's the kicker. What if this waking life is the same kind of deal? Or, hey, how about a really modern version of this? Picture a Zoom call in gallery view. It looks like 10 totally separate people in 10 separate boxes. But if you were to reach out and touch your computer, what would you actually feel? Not 10 people. You'd feel one single solid screen. Everything is just an appearance on that one screen.
Okay, so if we want to get a taste of this experience, what do we do? What's the technique? Well, the answer is kind of surprising. It has a lot less to do with doing anything, and a lot more to do with just stopping.
I absolutely love this quote. It just cuts right through all the self-help noise. This isn't about striving or trying to become better. It's not about effort at all. It's actually the total opposite. It's about relaxing into what's already here.
So how do we actually do this? It's really just a gentle shift. You can do it right now. First, just notice a thought that's happening, or a sound. Now, instead of following it, can you notice the quiet presence in the background that's aware of the thought? And now, just let your attention relax back into that quiet awareness. Let that be your home base. That's it. That's the whole thing.
And this part is so crucial. We're not trying to fight our thoughts or force our minds to go blank. Good luck with that. The thoughts are going to do their thing. The real change is you stop thinking you are the thoughts, and you realize you're the wide open space that they're all happening in.
So, why does any of this matter? What's the big payoff? Well, it's not just some cool philosophical idea. This shift in perspective is seen as the key to ending our mental and emotional suffering and finding a real, lasting sense of peace. Just think about it.
Almost all our stress, our anxiety, our worries, it all comes from that feeling of being a separate me struggling against the world. It's me against my job, me against my anxiety. It's a constant battle.
But when that core belief in being separate starts to soften, that resistance just dissolves. The fight is over. And look at what's left. The psychological suffering ends. You feel this deep sense of being at home in the world. Life stops being a struggle and starts to feel more like a flow. That constant need to control everything just falls away.
This quote right here just says it all, doesn't it? It's the entire journey in one sentence. All that effort you were putting into fighting the current, it stops because you realize you are the current. You are the river itself.
And so we end right where we started, with a question. But this one's for you. As you're sitting here, listening, if that separate self we think we are is an illusion, then who or what is having this experience right now?